As Africa's leading defense news portal, DefenceWeb aims to give you the latest updates on African defense, the South African National Defense Force, and the defense industry. Hi folks, welcome to the past week in defense. In this week's edition on the continent, Angola receives K-8W jets from China. In SANDF news, a parliamentary research report suggests that SANDF is top-heavy with generals. The controversial Cuban drug acquisition is under task team and oversight committee microscopes. The Defense Legal Services Division faces trials and tribulations. COVID-19 hasn't beached the Navy, and the SA Air Force Day goes digital. In industry news, Ford partners with SVI Engineering to offer armoured Ranger bakkies. Rheinmetall Denel Munition receives an aircraft bomb order from Asia as it expands its bomb lineup. Hensoldt South Africa launches a new radar business after the acquisition of Tellumat business units. Denel explains its 1.9 billion rand loss in its latest annual report as the company operates at 30% capacity, and Denel Aeronautics records a moderate loss for the last financial year. In African defense news, Angola receives final K-8W jets from China. The Angolan Air Force has received the last 6 of the 12 K-8W jets from China, which delivered the aircraft for pilot training. The Air Force officially received the second batch on the 14th of December, official press agency Angrop reported. The aircraft were acquired from China's CATRC via Simportex. The first 6 arrived in January 2020 after being ordered in 2018. By the end of 2020, they had accumulated 1,770 flight hours in 1,265 flights, Angrop said. The delivery ceremony of the second batch coincided with the conclusion of instructor training for 6 Angolan pilots. They received training from CATRC specialists between the 22nd October and 14th of December. CATRC representative Yuan Mu said his company would also be supplying another 2 MA-60 transport aircraft and support equipment to Angola, which received 2 MA-60s in 2019. In SANDF news, SANDF is top-heavy with generals, Parliamentary research report says. The sharp end of the National Defense Force's combat services, along with defense intelligence, counts just 97 generals out of the more than 400 in the Department of Defense and SA National Defense Force structure. This, according to a research paper prepared for the Portfolio Committee on Defense and Military Veterans, in essence translates into 1 general, admiral, or equivalent official for every 184 people in the Department of Defense/SA National Defense Force. The DoD annual report for the 2018/19 financial year notes that there were 275 senior and top management level employees and the then total personnel strength of 74,508. This equates to 1 senior manager for every 269 people in the DoD, the report states. It goes on to say concern about the DoD being top heavy was raised previously by the Defense Force Service Commission, also pointing out senior representatives of Minister Nosiviwe Mapisa-Ngakula's department admitted the DoD is somewhat top heavy. The report asked the Portfolio Committee on Defense and Military Veterans to ascertain the reasons for rank inflation from senior military leaders. A partial answer comes from respected military analyst Helmut Heitman. He is quoted as telling a Joint Standing Committee on Defense meeting rank inflation poses a major risk to a sustainable DoD as far as personnel strength and costs are concerned. This phenomenon dates back to the then SA Defense Force, forerunner of the SANDF and what is now Democratic South Africa. Cuban drug acquisition under task team and oversight committee microscopes. The spending of around 260.59 million rand on a Cuban drug for use by South African soldiers and other defense force personnel will be the subject of a thorough investigation. This comes in the wake of pressure by the opposition Democratic Alliance Party in the form of a shadow defense and military veterans minister Cobus Morea and the ruling party, he said in a statement. The amount of 260.59 million rand quoted for acquisition of Heberon, the unregistered medical drug Heberon Alpha R, containing the active ingredient interferon alpha 2B, by the Auditor General is converted from the US price of $15,048,872. This is set out in the second special report on the financial management of government's COVID-19 initiatives provided by Auditor General Takani Maluleke. The investigation follows a decision taken this week by the Portfolio Committee on Defense and Military Veterans. As background to his call for an investigation, Morea said the Military Command Council, MCC, of the SA National Defense Force procured the Cuban drug Heberon interferon alpha 2B without prior approval by and registration with the South African Health Products Regulatory Authority. The MCC did not comply with statutory import regulations and protocols for importing any medicine into South Africa. The medicine is not approved in South Africa for human application and use. Trials and tribulations at Defense Legal Services Division. Instead of concentrating on either prosecuting or defending military offenders or suspects, a number of senior military legal officers are seeking legal redress from 2 top people in the Department of Defense and Military Veterans. According to the Johannesburg Digital Weekly Mail and Guardian the cases, at least 6 stem from personal clashes. These led to a string of court actions separately against Minister Nosiviwe Mapisa-Nqakula and the Chief of the South African National Defence Force, General Solly Schalke. The legal officers bringing the actions have an average of 20 years of service, the publication reported, adding losing any of them and a string of juniors could see an increase in the backlog of military court matters. According to the Department of Defence 2018/19 annual report, over 2,000 new military court cases were registered that year, with the backlog of more than 1,600. The cases include internal disciplinary offences such as theft, absence without official leave, and misuse of military property. It also includes crimes committed outside South Africa while on peacekeeping deployment, rape and sexual harassment by fellow soldiers. Lieutenant General Eric Mnisi, Adjutant General in charge of the legal division, is named in most complaints by the legal officers as his subordinates either battle to retain their posts or reverse dismissals. Written complaints to Mapisa-Nqakula's office have to date brought no relief for their frustration. Some aggravated military lawyers say they are among the highest paid personnel in the SANDF. Pay increases were implemented as a retention strategy because of an exodus of experienced military legal officers. COVID-19 hasn't beached the Navy. The SA Navy maintains the COVID-19 pandemic has had minimal impact on naval operations and personnel, with the fleet able to deploy as tasked. At the same time, the Maritime Service of the SA National Defence Force said, in a response to a Defence Web inquiry, personnel numbers were reduced in affected areas. Sections not affected continue as normal, according to a statement which gave no further detail. No was the response to questions as to whether the pandemic has affected maritime operations and the possibility of providing the number of SA Navy personnel off duty in Simonstown as a result of the coronavirus infection. The SA Navy declined to indicate whether any stricter measures than those set down in terms of the still enforced national state of disaster were in place at Fleet Headquarters and Naval Base Simonstown. Defence Web was told the SA Navy adheres to all COVID-19 guidelines outlined by the government. SA Air Force Day goes digital. Due to the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic, Acting Chief of the South African Air Force, Major General Mzayifani Innocent Buthelezi, was forced to deliver his Air Force Day address online, where he urged personnel to fight on through difficult times brought by the pandemic and budget cuts. 1st of February usually sees the SA Air Force mark its official founding with a parade award ceremony on FlyPass, but the decision this year not to go live is in line with the government regulations for its current adjusted Level 3 lockdown regulations. After exploring the history of the SA Air Force, Buthelezi looked at the present and the challenges facing the service, notably funding. For some time now, defence spending has been in a critical state of decline. The Defence Review of 2015 has been reported with a plan to arrest the decline of the South African National Defence Force. However, unfortunately, no funding has been received to attend to the decreasing capabilities of the SA National Defence Force. The SA Air Force air defence capabilities are under pressure, including air transport and maritime capability, very important person capability, air combat capability, and command and control capability, he said. Buthelezi warned that the continued reduction of flying hours will impact negatively on safe Air Force flight operations. Of great concern to the Air Force is the status of facilities and infrastructure. This is a direct result of a lack of maintenance of state property and a closing of the maintenance backlog. The main reason for the status of the facilities is the lack of maintenance coupled with normal wear and tear, neglect, and aging of buildings. The current decline in facilities and infrastructure not only affect the Air Force's operational capabilities, but has a direct impact on the morale of South African Air Force personnel, especially during challenging times such as COVID-19. As a client of the National Department of Public Works, known as NDPW, the Air Force cannot take responsibility for maintaining said property. We do not have the mandate or the proper expertise. The Air Force as occupants are therefore forced to maintain these facilities using a limited operational budget. Buthelezi outlined some of the Air Force's priorities over the medium-term expenditure framework. The SA Air Force, he said, will focus on the following areas: explore the establishment of war rooms to monitor stock and track the movement of components, establish warehouses to reduce delivery turnaround times and address warranty challenges, train and certify engineers and technicians in the Air Force to establish an in-house maintenance capability, configure the collective heritage program to ensure the display of an all-inclusive history of the South African Air Force, and decentralize recruitment to ensure that the outreach programs culminate into a feeder system for the SA Air Force. And in industry news, Ford partners with SVI Engineering to offer Armoured Ranger. Special Vehicle Industries Engineering, or SVI, which manufactures a range of commercial and military armored vehicles, has partnered with Ford to offer OEM-approved armor on Ranger bakkies as it extends its commercial armored range. Ford Motor Company of Southern Africa said the Ford-approved armor protection for the Ranger is a first for any original equipment manufacturer in South Africa. The Ranger can be ordered directly from a franchise dealer. There are 134 Ford dealerships around the country. SVI offers 2 levels of Ford-approved improved armoured protection for the Ranger across all models, powertrains, and derivatives. The B4 protection level provides protection against handguns up to .44 Magnum and consists of 18 to 21mm armoured glass in combination with Kevlar sheets for the body. It adds 280 kgs on the Ranger double cab and takes around 8 weeks to install. SVI and Ford also offer B6 protection, which is the highest level of civilian protection allowed without a special permit. This has been designed for the valuables and transit industry, as well as high-profile individuals needing the ultimate level of protection. B6 protection protects against R1 assault rifle and AK-47 rounds. This comprises 38mm armored glass and special armored steel plates. Due to the additional 600 kgs of armor, the Ranger's suspension is upgraded accordingly. With the B6 armor protection option, customers can choose between a discreet appearance or the cost-effective non-discreet option called Stop Gun V2.0. The discreet option features upgrades not easily identifiable on the vehicle versus the more obvious protection on the non-discreet Stop Gun option. The discreet option takes 12 weeks to build, while the Stop Gun security option can be installed in 2 weeks. The B4 option is only available in the discreet appearance form. Price ranges from $234,000 to $688,000, depending on model and armor package. RDM receives bomb order from Asia as it expands bomb lineup. Rheinmetall Denel Munition (RDM) has secured an additional 40 million rand contract for the supply of aircraft bombs to an Asia-Pacific customer after receiving a number of contracts over the last several years. RDM said it will be making the first deliveries of its recently developed 110-pound/50 kg aircraft bombs, RDM HBF 110, by the first quarter of 2021. It will also be supplying high fragmentation variants of its Mk80 series warheads, including accessories and fuses. The HFB 110 is a high fragmentation bomb purposely designed for a light ground attack aircraft and larger unmanned aerial systems. The warhead provides high lethality and predictable fragmentation to provide maximum effectiveness against personnel and light vehicles. The smaller size and standard interfaces are ideal for smaller aircrafts and to enable a large number of warheads to be carried to provide for greater mission flexibility and to engage a greater number of targets during a single sortie. The smaller compact variant is also known as the baby bomb, RDM said. In addition to the 110-pound bomb, RDM is further expanding the portfolio by way of its new high-performance penetrator bomb or Mk280 warhead or penetration Mk82 warhead HPW. The Mk82 HPW warhead is a high penetration warhead that conforms to standard Mk82 geometry and mass requirements, minimizing integration and certification requirements, and it's purposely designed for precision strike missions against hardened structures and targets. Hensoldt South Africa launches new radar business after Tellumat acquisition. Hensoldt South Africa has launched its new radar business following the acquisition of Tellumat business units last year. Tellumat's air traffic management and defense and security business units have been incorporated into Hensoldt South Africa's existing radar and other capabilities to form the new radar business unit. The acquired activities represent an extensive portfolio of more than 50 years of expertise in the defense electronics landscape and a workforce of over 100 employees, Hensoldt South Africa said on the 1st of February. Hensoldt South Africa's capabilities are expanded with a new portfolio area centering around radar, IFF, and data links. The radar offering focuses on naval and land radar, which will include new developments in this product range. Identification, friend or foe, and data links will also be offered. Finally, air traffic management and radar services become parts of the overall portfolio, with the aim of expanding the air traffic management services and developing existing radar support services into full-blown maintenance, repair, and overhaul. Denel explains 1.9 billion rand loss in latest annual report. Denel's 1.962 billion rand loss for the 2019/2020 financial year ending March was driven by liquidity constraints, poor program execution, and delayed sales, the state-owned company's latest annual report said, adding that little to no production activity further hurt the defense conglomerate. Denel published its annual report on the 1st of February. The Johannesburg bourse had threatened to suspend the listing of Denel's bonds if the arms manufacturer did not publish its results by the end of January. According to the document, group revenue reduced by 20% to 2.72 billion rand in 2019/2020 compared with 3.4 billion rand in 2018/19, driven by liquidity constraints as Denel battled with low funds to meet all its operational requirements in the year. This impacted on the payments of suppliers, therefore on-time deliveries to customers, the annual report said. Consequently, Denel's net loss for the year was 1.962 billion rand, up from a recalculated 1.469 billion rand in 2018/19. The operating loss of 1.5 billion rand was mainly driven by lower revenue generating activities, leading to an increase in labor under recoveries and forex losses on exports. The net loss was further impacted by an 85% reduction in profits from associates, as Rheinmetall Denel Munition posted a 227 million rand net loss before tax due to a reduction in revenues and operational accidents. As at 31st of March 2020, Denel was insolvent by 2.3 billion rand. This was driven by the losses incurred since 2017/18. On the 31st of August 2019, the state approved and paid to Denel 1.8 billion rand in recapitalization funds to restabilize the business and improve the solvency position. This funding injection was utilized to restart operations, pay overdue taxes and debt financing costs, and implement strategic actions in the turnaround plan. However, this recapitalization was not enough to maintain revenue. Moderate loss for Denel Aeronautics in last financial year. Denel Aeronautics recorded a 61 million rand loss in the 2019/20 financial year on revenue of 770 billion rand. For the previous financial year, the division made a 17 million rand profit according to the latest Denel annual report. Exiting the aerostructures business is set to save Denel hundreds of millions of rands per year. According to the annual report, existing Denel aerostructures manufacturing business, which it was expected to be largely concluded by the end of July 2020, resulted in an annualized savings benefit of 260 million rand. As part of the exit and winding up of Denel Aerostructures, the rib spars and sword work package for the Airbus A400M Atlas transport was successfully transferred in December 2019, along with 2 work packages for other customers. With the winding up of Denel Aerostructures, it was contemplated that 230 employees would be retrenched. Through redeployments within the Denel group, this number was reduced to 177 retrenchments, 58 of these being voluntary retrenchments, the company stated. Denel Aeronautics employs just over 800 people. A key highlight of the year under review was the return to service and sale of 12 ex-South African Air Force Cheetah fighter aircraft to Draken International under Project Dragon. The first milestone came on 18th of October 2019 with the delivery of the first 2 aircraft. Despite difficult trading conditions, Denel Aeronautics was able to maintain current certification and accreditations from various external bodies and regulators such as the International Standards Organization ISO and the Aerospace Standard with Bureau Veritas International, Aircraft Maintenance Organization approvals with the South African Civil Aviation Authority, and the Aircraft and Subsystem OEM accreditations with Airbus helicopters, Lockheed Martin, Russian helicopters, and Safran helicopter engines. This allowed it to maintain South African Air Force C-130, Oryx, and Roy Falk aircraft. Denel said this helped the Air Force respond to the COVID-19 pandemic. The Oryx transport helicopters carried critical medical and humanitarian supplies to communities on a daily basis and conducted surveillance operations. Denel Aeronautics also carried out critical repair work on the main gearboxes of 2 Oryx helicopters, and the technical support teams were on standby around the clock to do maintenance, repairs, and testing of equipment. Denel operating at 30% capacity. Troubled state-owned defense conglomerate Denel is only operating at 30% of its capacity, impacting on revenues as all operating business units are consequently not meeting their budgets. This is according to a Department of Public Enterprises presentation on the 3rd of February to Parliament on progress in adding challenges facing state-owned companies. The presentation states Denel is unable to honor contractual obligations due to the lack of working capital. Employees have last been paid in full salaries in April 2020, and this has led to unions taking the state-owned company to court with directors cited in their personal capacity. The matter was heard on the 27th of January 2021, and the court has reversed judgment on the matter. Further, the business is burdened with high cost of capital with annual interest payments. 240 million rand interest payments is projected for the 2021 financial year. The forecast for the 2021 financial year is that revenues will be 26% behind 2020 financial year performance. Please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, our daily and weekly newsletter, and our other social media platforms if you enjoyed the webcast. Leave a comment below. Thank you for listening. Stay safe, and we'll see you next week.